Alright guys, today I'm down in southwest Houston. I'm not sure of the name of the actual area, but it's just off of the southwest corner of 610 on the outside, and we've got the usual bees in a soffit. So this guy called me. The house is actually vacant right now. He's working on renovating it, but you can see he tried to foam up the entrances, and he told me that, and he said, yeah, I foamed the entrances, and I'll be darned, they started finding other entrances. So he actually came out here and opened this corner back up to try to help the bees. Once I told him I was going to come get them, he said, well, I'll open that up so they can hopefully know where they're going and not be scattered all over the place. So there's a lot of wires hanging in the way here, but they're all insulated. A lot of them aren't even hooked up to anything, so we should be able to just take a few screws loose and take down that piece of soffit, and hopefully they're right there. The soffit pulled down finally. It was quite a pain with all the wires and stuff in the way, but we had to make a couple cuts and do a lot of prying and finagling. We got it pulled down, and as you can see, they've got the original nest here, and it goes all the way back above the wall into the ceiling. And then over here we've got where they've been building newer honeycomb. So we're going to start cutting it out and framing it up. We got the queen, folks. I'm not sure how good you can see her in there because the way the sun is behind me. I'm trying to turn around and see, but she's certainly in there. There she is down at the bottom. Turn around, there she is right on the front. There she is. So.
Brood box up?
Is it full?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. So anyway, yeah, I was just cutting out combs one at a time, and you know, as I cut one comb out, I flip it over and check the back side of it and suck the bees off with using the vacuum, perverts. But I would clean the bees off one side and then look up to where the next piece of comb was and clean them off that side, and I just barely got her. She was headed for the hill. She was running right up, and she was getting ready to go around the back side, and I got her caught. So we're going to finish cutting everything out now. Well, hey guys, kind of got rushed at the old location. I meant to take a video of how everything went, but it worked really good. Like I showed you, we caught the queen, so I'm confident that everything's okay. And now I'm just stopping to get some gas. But as you can see here, we've got that deep hive body is completely full, and that medium above it is completely full, and that top medium has got, I think, 3 frames in it with comb. And then actually we pulled out the extra frames and we put the actual box that I vacuumed the bees up into, we put that in there to help kind of concentrate the bee smell and try to draw them in. But you know, in the middle of the day, I should have waited until dark to come back and get them, but it was an hour away from the house, and I'm not coming back that far to pick them up after dark, so we'll just have to roll with it like this. But I know the queen's in there, so everything should be good to go. We treated the area on the house. I sprayed it with Bee Quick to drive the bees out, and then I coated anywhere the comb was, I sprayed down with Kills primer to try to cover up the bee smell. Also in my buckets there, one of those buckets is about half full of busted scrap honeycomb, and then the other one's got a couple little pieces in it. So this was a big nest. This is a big job, but it went great. So that's it for now. Well, folks, this is something I'm certainly not proud of. Just got home with the bees from the cutout. I'm going to set them up in the hive, and I took out my screen box, my vac box, and that's a lot of dead bees. And there's a whole bunch more on there that I've been fishing out. Man, I guess I had my vacuum pressure set a little too high, because I killed probably 90% of what I vacuumed up. Luckily I didn't vacuum the queen, or she'd be dead, I'm sure. But man, this really upsets me. I didn't realize that my pressure was set that high. I knew I had good suction, but I didn't realize it was that good. But there's an awful lot of dead bees here, but I think we've still got enough live ones that they'll recover. They've certainly got enough brood and enough honeycomb and everything, they should recover. But I just want to show this to you guys. Definitely make a note, check your suction pressure. High pressure is not always a good thing. You definitely want low enough pressure that you don't kill all your bees like this. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. You know, maybe you guys will learn from my mistakes. Well, there you go, folks. As you can see and possibly hear, we have quite the feeding frenzy going on right now, because the 2 buckets that are sitting there on the ground both have chunks of honeycomb all in them that are left over from the cutout yesterday. So I'll let them sit out here and let the bees rob it out. But the one thing I wanted to make a video about this to follow up was because this is actually the morning after, and I know last night when I got the bees home, I said my vac pressure was set too high, and that's why I killed so many bees as I did. But I got to thinking about it more, and when I opened up one of the buckets that had a whole bunch of scrap honeycomb in it, or when I left the job, I just snapped the lid on it, and there was a bunch of bees that were in it, and I said, oh, that'll be fine for an hour. Well, that wasn't the case, because when I opened that bucket up last night after I made that part of the video, also all those bees were dead. So I think what actually happened, and I'm
almost 100% sure what actually happened was they got too hot. It's not that the vac pressure was set too high, because obviously the ones in the bucket didn't go through the vacuum. They were just foragers that were trying to rob the honey back. So what actually happened was the bees got too hot, because when I pulled the inner box out of the vac, the bees were all still alive. And I mentioned in the video when I was getting gas how I just set the screen box inside the hive. Well, I think that was definitely a problem and a lesson learned. I won't do that again, because when I set them in there they weren't able to get good ventilation, and that's what ultimately killed them. Had I left the screen box just sitting outside the hive in the shade, I imagine the bees would have been perfectly fine. So I just want to make this little follow-up and share with you guys. Looks like there's definitely plenty of activity going on that I think they will survive. I think there was enough bees that were in the hive on their own and that did survive the being in the vac box that they'll do just fine. I did release the queen last night and she looked fine. I watched and she crawled down onto a piece of brood comb. So hopefully she's fine. But like I said, it's just I'm not proud of this, and I wanted to share with you guys, the lessons that I learned, and that don't get your bees too hot. Really the vacuum pressure is something to keep in mind, but it's from what I experienced yesterday. I mean, it was only maybe 80 degrees yesterday. It was very nice weather, but even with that, the bees were sealed up for an hour and a half, and that killed 90% of what was in the vac box that was in the hive, and it killed, I believe, 100% of what was in that bucket. So just keep that in mind. Don't get them too hot. What happens when they get too hot is they get stressed. And in this particular situation, since it's been a cutout, a lot of them have been sucking up honey. When they get stressed, they start to puke. And when they puke honey all over each other. And if they're coated in honey, they can't breathe because of how they're, where they actually breathe is on their abdomen. If that gets coated in honey, they can't breathe, and so they'll suffocate. And I do believe that's what happened here. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys the results of what happened, make a couple corrections, because like I said earlier in the video from last night, I said it was the vac pressure. That's not what happened. They got too hot for sure. But I guess another cool note that I learned yesterday, something I tried that worked very well, was I had said how the honeycombs were extending back into the ceiling. And when it's like that, it's really difficult. You always want to be looking for your queen, and the problem is the queen will tend to run back to get away from you and end up back in the ceiling where you can't get her. So what I did at the start of the job was, after I'd cut a few combs out in the front, I misted just a little bit of bee quick back into the ceiling, just enough to kind of get the scent back there, and it drove all the bees forward off those back combs. And I believe that drove the queen forward, or at least kept her from going back. And so I was actually able to catch her. I was about halfway through. I saw her going around the corner, upper corner of one of the combs, and I was able to catch her. So, but I believe had I not sprayed that bee quick back there, she probably would have kept moving back and stayed ahead of me, and probably would have ended up back in the ceiling and not been able to get to her. So anyway, it's starting to rain on me pretty good right now, so I'm going to end this and run back in the house. See ya.